On this episode of Mythbusters,
Fly, fly, that's it, come on, fly.
high flyers Adam and Jamie get caught up in a tall tale from the world of physics. They're asking, if birds in a truck take flight, does the trailer get lighter?
They're all flying.
And Cary, Grant, and Tori get all bent out of shape on the biggest build of their myth-busting careers.
Jamie makes it look so easy when he does it.
If a boat traveling at 25 miles an hour crashes into a channel marker, will it split in two? Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
Is everybody ready for diving?
and Jamie Heineman.
Gets me all worked up just looking at it.
That was beautiful.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
That was heavy.
Joining them, Grant Imahara,
Are you feeling lucky, punk?
Tori Belleci,
Somebody order some exploding pants?
and Cary Byron.
High explosives and electricity. Woo!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Okay, Adam, what have you got for us?
Here's the story. A guy's driving behind a big truck, and every time the big truck gets to a bridge, it stops, the driver of the truck gets out, bangs on the side, and then proceeds across the bridge. He runs into the truck driver at a gas station and says, "Why are you banging on the truck?" And the truck driver says, "Well, I got a load of birds, and they're over the weight limit of most of these local bridges. So whenever I get to one, I bang on the truck, they fly around, and my truck is lighter."
Clever.
So the myth for us is, if you're driving around with a truckload of birds and they take flight, is your truck lighter?
So the question is, will a container full of flapping, feathery friends lighten the load? For years, this simple concept has had big-brain boffins baffled. On campus, it's a conundrum that's frazzled physicists, not to mention the furor on the fan site. Sounds like a job for the Mythbusters.
Should we start small or should we go for the whole enchilada all at once?
Well, obviously, eventually we're going to need a truck, but I think we can start right now by going out, catching a bird, building a chamber, and seeing if it weighs the same when the bird is sitting in it as opposed to when the bird is flying in it.
Okay, well, I got some pretty sensitive scales downstairs and I can probably dig up a net somewhere.
Let's do it.
All right.
For this myth to take flight, our dynamic duo have to land some pigeons. And in a scene straight from Hitchcock, the birds appear from nowhere. Pigeon whisperer Adam and accomplice Jamie use a variety of snares, nets, and snacks.
The birds will be too fat to fly.
But their pigeon stalking comes to zero, and they realize they need some help. Enter Kate Martin, pigeon wrangler.
Brought you some pigeons.
Awesome.
Come on, you guys. 2 pigeons in an official pigeon carrier.
Look at that.
Finally, Adam's all pigeoned up and ready to begin small-scale testing. A clear plastic chamber will double up as a truck trailer, and when activated, a vibrating floor will encourage the pigeons to take flight. But this is your gig, Adam. Why don't you take us through it?
I've got my bird flying chamber here. It's got a closed top. The bottom is a screen, which I can vibrate by plugging it into this battery. The whole thing is standing on top of a very sensitive scale. First thing I'm going to do is turn on the scale, which will zero it out. Then I'm going to put the birds in. I'm going to see the birds weigh a certain amount. Then I'm going to turn on the platform, which will vibrate. Hopefully they'll fly around, and we'll see if there's any difference.
So, if the myth is true, when the pigeon gets some air, the combined weight of the chamber and bird will come down. Sounds simple.
Fly, fly, that's it, come on, fly. Come on, take off, take off, take off.
Now there's your problem. The bird just ain't flying.
I don't blame him, I mean, because it's
We
not
can
like...
barely get a full wingspan in there.
Yeah, you know, he's running into the sides.
Maybe we need to build a bigger chamber.
So plan B is a bigger chamber and better motivation to fly than a vibrating floor. What have you got, Jamie?
My current favorite is thinking about setting up a weed whacker-like affair, and we could put like a half a dozen motors so that there's just it's just kind of whizzing around. I mean, I can't imagine this would hurt them. I mean, it doesn't hurt you, right?
No.
For our animal-loving viewers, let's be clear. Adam's pain threshold is way below the pigeon's. So if Adam's okay, the bird will be too.
All right, so if you haven't been paying attention, my first attempt at the small-scale pigeon experiment did not work because the chamber was too small and the pigeon didn't want to fly. I have fixed those problems. I believe I'm going to hang this, use a different pigeon annoying technique, and I'm using a bigger tank so he can actually fly around. I feel like calling this guy Jackson for some reason. Now, I have a nephew whose name is Jackson, and I have another nephew whose middle name is Jackson. He doesn't remind me of either of them.
Okay, Jackson, you're up. Now remember, all you got to do is what you were born to do. Fly.
Freaked me out, but it's not doing anything to him.
Come on, Jackson, come on. Boom, boom.
That's pigeon for fly. It's also desperate because if they can't get Jackson to take off and stay airborne, this myth is grounded.
Okay, guys, check this out. I found it on the internet.
Whoa.
Is that Photoshop?
Apparently not. And supposedly the boat hit the channel marker at 25 miles per hour.
Seriously? That's split up the middle, like, what, 15 feet?
17 feet, actually.
Ha! You know what I see in our near future?
Yeah, crashing boats.
Absolutely.
This tall tale of hijinks on the high seas has two halves, literally. We know it happened because it's been well documented, but the myth is in the details. Apparently, in this watery fender bender, the boat bifurcation occurred at 25 miles per hour. Fact? Or has someone got their facts bent out of shape?
So what's the plan?
All right, this is what we do. We rent one of these speedboats, we take some insurance out, and we crash it into a channel marker.
And we tell them we're going 25 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Okay, why not? Well, the $350,000 price tag and a bad rep with insurance companies is why not. But all is not lost. Down at John Beery Yachts, our trio of thrill seekers get the opportunity to experience the power behind the powerboat. And Sean, their high-speed chauffeur for the day, has even heard of the myth.
So the myth that we're working on here today actually came from the internet. There's this photo going all over of a sports performance boat, not yours, but one sort of like that, that apparently was going 25 miles an hour and bifurcated itself on a channel marker 17 feet deep. Now, do you think that's possible at that kind of speed?
In my opinion, no. The photograph that I viewed, that boat had to have been traveling at a much greater rate of speed to do the damage that I saw.
Well, with a top speed of 150 miles per hour, faster we can do. But unfortunately, someone is going to quite literally miss the boat.
Rochambeau. Odd man out. You're in the chase boat!
You gotta be kidding me!
With just room for two, it's all but one aboard.
That is loud!
It's really loud. It's not like a quiet sport, is it?
With engines and hearts racing, Grant discovers his voice hasn't broken.
Okay. There aren't any seatbelts in this thing, are there?
With the Speedo approaching 100 miles an hour, no wonder Grant's nervous. The guys at Donzi Performance Boats have realized Carrie and Grant can't afford the fuel for this trip, never mind the boat. And this myth investigation is anchored at square one. Next on Mythbusters,
$10.
Tori takes the crash tests into his own hands, and then things get out of hand. The Mythbusters are trying out for CSI. That's Crash Scene Investigation. They're asking, can you bifurcate your boat in a collision with a channel marker? The only evidence they have is this photo and accompanying reports that the boat was traveling at 25 miles per hour. To find out if this is possible, our team want to replicate myth conditions and impale their own boat. But with a brand new boat way out of their price range, our crack team of researchers has found the bargain of a lifetime.
This is going to be
too many holes?
No, this is going to be great.
No, I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
Do you think it's seaworthy?
I don't know if it's seaworthy, but it's definitely crash-worthy.
We got this boat for a bargain. It was only $1,500. We're talking about boats that can be up to $350,000. So we were a little apprehensive about when it showed up, what it was going to look like. Turns out it's amazing. The structure is perfect. It may not have an engine, but we'd have to take that out anyway. So we're really, really excited.
No wonder Carrie is excited, because with the full-scale boat dry docked in the Mythbusters Marina, the team can move on. And first up are some small-scale crash tests. And this 1/10 model is a great starting point.
Oh, I love this boat. It's my favorite boat. I don't want to crash it. Okay. We need to crash these boats over and over. I need to make several of them. So I need to make a mold of this particular model boat. I'll make a silicone mold. I'll paint silicone over this in 2 halves. Make a mother mold on top of that. Then I'll be able to pull it apart and lay up any material I want inside the mold. Done. Okay.
And to match the motorboat in the myth, Tori's material of choice is fiberglass. It's nasty and noxious, so Tori is banished outside to finish up, which he does by gluing the hardened halves together. And before you can say bifurcation, Tori's got himself some mighty fine toy boats.
He's pretty, isn't it?
Meanwhile, Grant has been working on a rig to tow the models into a replica channel marker, simulating the mythical impalement impact. His remote-controlled winch and trolley is calibrated so the boat crashes into the steel pole in exactly the same place as the myth, just to the left of the bow. But hold on, where'd the H2O go?
So you at home might be wondering why we're doing our small-scale experiments on land as opposed to water, since ostensibly the myth is about a boat on water. Well, there are 2 reasons. First, water, not unlike many primal forces, doesn't scale correctly in miniature. It has a different response than it does in full scale. Now, the second reason, and I think more importantly, is that this myth is about kinetic energy. A mass at a certain velocity hitting an object. And that we can certainly do on land.
So this is a dry run in more ways than one. Take us through it, Carrie.
This is the setup for the small-scale experiment. We have a fiberglass boat, which is 1/10 the scale of our real-life boat. It's also weighted to 1/10 the scale. It's sitting atop a trolley that Grant's created with a smart wheel so that it can correct itself all the way down a long cable, which is being pulled through a pulley into a channel marker, which is set stably into the ground. The entire thing's being controlled by a winch, which Grant can remote control from this end, and hopefully in the end we'll have a perfect bifurcation as it crashes into that end of the shop.
3, 2, 1, go.
No mythical split, just a glancing blow.
Well, the boat's intact.
And with everything to scale, there's only one thing for it. More speed.
Should we ramp it up? Sure.
Unfortunately, the only thing ramping up is the frustration level, as the kinks and glitches in their system work themselves out.
Well, that's not going to work.
I see one problem.
It's one of those days, everything that can go wrong
Oh, we bifurcated the trolley.
goes wrong. But as Edison nearly said, myth-busting is 1% genius and 99% perseverance. And their patience is rewarded when they get some realistic collisions with the channel marker.
That was cool.
But despite increasing the speed, the impact and resulting damage peaks at glancing blow.
Oh, that was cool.
But Grant's frustrated, and his OCD kicks in. That's obsessive crash disorder. He wants to see some damage and hands Tori a challenge.
I will give you $5, and if you can ram this into the channel marker and break it.
Ooh, $5?
I'll give you $10.
That's a whole week's salary, and Tori can't resist.
$10.
Okay, so it can be done. And the team suspect the angle of attack was key. Like in the myth, Tori was aiming to the left of the bow, and he adds a turn into the pole.
If it can do it like that, that shows me maybe the turn is the way to go.
Let me try it again, just going straight, and see what happens.
With an attempted head-on collision, it's back to glancing blow. And with that discovery, the small-scale tests are back on track. To be sure, Tori once again adds that last-minute twist. And what do you know?
Well, that tells us a lot. It tells us it's better to hit the marker at a turn as opposed to just going straight into it.
Finally, a result. But it's been a long and frustrating day, and Carrie and Grant feel the need to let off some steam.
I am so sick doing small-scale experiments.
Pete Townsend, eat your heart out.
Okay, so how crazy was that it took Tori smashing that boat by hand into the pole before we could find out that we need to turn at the last minute to split it?
You know, I think these variables are just too tough to scale down. I think if we're going to test this for real, we need to go to full scale.
I propose we do this on land because this myth is really about kinetic energy. It's the mass, which is the boat, hitting the channel marker with a certain velocity. And doing it on water doesn't buy us anything extra.
Yeah, and I think it would be a lot easier to control on land.
Coming up, the bird in a truck story finally gets off the ground.
Look at that!
Among top-level physicists, it's a fundamental question with a hotly debated answer. If the weight of a truck full of birds is X, when the birds take flight, is it now X minus the weight of the birds? That is, does the truck get lighter? Adam and Jamie's first foray in this myth fell flat, so it's time to look outside the box. Cue the aerodynamicist to speak some geek.
We need your help. We've got a story that's come up that we're testing right now. It is a question that is all over the fan sites. It's if you're driving with a truckload full of birds and they take flight inside your truck, is your truck actually lighter while they're flying around?
That's actually a very often told physics urban legend.
Can you tell us something about the mechanics of flight that would apply to this? I mean, we know birds flap their wings and there's lift involved, there's downward pressures. What's going on here that we need to be focusing on?
Well, the basic premise of all flight, whether it be a helicopter or a plane or a bird flapping its wings or just even gliding, is that it takes air and deflects it downward, and the downwards force on the air will in turn cause a reaction force upward that will help lift whatever the object is against the force of gravity.
Wait, a helicopter and a bird are actually using the same physical principles to fly?
Absolutely. It all comes down to Newton's laws.
So let's get this straight. To get airborne, you push down on the air beneath you hard enough to lift your own weight. And because the principle works for birds and helicopters alike, Jamie and Adam have an idea, which means the pigeons get a break.
Pigeons are what the myth is about, but pigeons sometimes don't do exactly what you want them to do. So we figure that a similar sort of a thing that might show the same phenomenon, if there is one, would be a little helicopter that we can control.
But it's not as simple as that. Flying a chopper in an enclosed space creates turbulence, making it hard to hover. So to run the bench test, Adam's built this rig, which will allow it to lift but keep it centrally tethered at the same time.
Excellent. 52.0. 52.6.
Adam has measured the weight difference of the container with and without the chopper. Now, the question is, when the helicopter takes off, will the chamber get lighter?
Hey, look, lift off! We got lift off! Look at that! The scale is not changing. 52.6, 52.6. Dude! That's liftoff! I so did not expect this rig to work. All right.
In a break from Mythbuster tradition, Adam has success with a scale test.
I know that my helicopter weighs 0.6 of a pound. So if the myth was true, I should have seen that meter go from 52.5 or 6 to 52 flat.
But that's not the whole story. This myth is about birds, and trust Jamie to get straight to the heart of the problem.
We gotta try it in a truck or something close to it with the birds.
So it's full scale ahead. And after a Mythbuster makeover, this trailer, standing in for the truck and the myth, will be full of flying birds for the final test weigh-in.
That's cool. You look like a little animal in a circus.
With the front fitted with clear plastic, Jess and Jamie are done. And it's time for a flight test. There are no scales yet, so this test is simply to confirm the birds are comfortable spreading their wings. If they don't, Adam and Jamie are back to square one.
Hey!
But it's immediately obvious there's plenty of room. So, final prep on the big rig begins. The flight motivators go in first. These rotating foam tubes are supposed to keep the pigeons in the air.
There we go.
We have liftoff. Next, the team makes sure there are no nooks or crannies where the pigeons can land and take a rest. It works for Mythbusters. But how about the pigeons?
Ready? I have no idea what's going to happen here.
So Adam and Jamie have finally got Jackson and friend to fly in an enclosed space. Now comes the tricky bit, catching a flock more birds, letting them loose in the trailer, and accurately weighing them. The story of the bifurcated boat has brought Carrie, Grant, and Tori close to breaking point. And to prevent this parable of split personality from sinking without a trace, it's land ahoy. With the decision to move on to terra firma, the team is on firmer footing. Because by supersizing their crash test rig, they have a ready-made plan. As before, the reinforced channel marker is at ground zero. Grant's winch system will be replaced by a tow truck, and the boat trailer, modified with a smart wheel, will steer accurately towards its date with disaster. But there's one final piece of the plan: how to get that last-minute turn.
If we learned anything from our small-scale tests, I think the turn is probably one of the most critical things. So there has to be some way for us to steer it into the channel marker at the last second.
To get the boat to turn where we want it, maybe what we could do is make a set of smart wheels at the front of the boat, and this will steer the boat wherever we want it to go. And then what we could do is put like a crossbar here, and we'll put a post in the ground, so when this bar hits that post, it'll turn the wheels into the marker.
Cool. Sounds good.
So it's a done deal, and the newly named Mythity Split ups anchor and ships out.
Say goodbye to the Mythity Split.
Its port of call, a familiar dockside destination with an impeccable Mythbuster pedigree.
We're back here at the Alameda Runway. This is the site of some of our more famous myths. And in fact, I'm sitting on the X right here, which is going to be our channel marker. It's also the spot where our compact in the end smashed into each other.
Hoping to match that spectacular smash with a big bang of their own, the team embark on what's to become their toughest build effort.
Bueno! That's Spanish for good.
Carrie and Grant begin by raising the channel marker into position.
Now that we have the pole in place, the next step is to weld around the bottom of the pole to hold it in place to the plate. Then we're going to lay that heavy girder to the back of this pole and then triangulate railroad track to it. So it's going to be completely stationary and not going to move when we smash the boat into it. I'm just excited we got the pole in place. I'm going to do my pole dance. Not what you expected, huh?
While Grant and Carrie have been cranking up the heavy metal, Tori has been trashing his trailer and adding the smart wheels. Now they can steer with a single cable tow, and when the hull of the Mythity Split hits the channel marker, the trailer won't be in the way. Finally, he adds these 55-gallon drums, which, when filled with water, will weigh the same as the missing engines.
This whole myth is about mass moving at speed. So it's important that we have the correct mass as we're moving at the speeds that we're going to test.
Meanwhile, Carrie and Grant are making triple sure the channel marker stays put when the Mythity Split hits.
The next step we have, or at least the next really big step we have, is that we're going to drill holes in various places all around this giant structure here so that we can implant foot-long pieces of rebar into those holes, weld them to this structure. So not only is this going to be the heaviest thing you've ever seen, but it's also going to be clawed into the ground.
Things are going so well, Grant finds time to hang around.
The prep for the boat myth is going great so far. I just hope that the weather holds out.
Just had to mention the weather, didn't you? And as the rain gets heavier, the problems mount, and the work on the final stages slows to a crawl.
I'm so over this one. I'm pretty much over this one.
With Old Testament-style flooding, maybe they could rename their boat the Ark.
Yeah, I think we were a little bit worried that the fans might be upset that we weren't doing this on the water. Well, now we are!
Despite the tough conditions, they pull through.
Jamie makes it look so easy when he does it.
And push on for a tow test of the trailer.
I'm so excited. It works. It looks really cool. We got like a boat car, or a car boat. I'm not sure which one.
And with just the trigger to rig for the critical last-minute turn, it's all hands on deck.
We've mapped out exactly where the bow should hit the channel marker, and this, I'm drilling a hole right here for the trigger, which will turn the wheels, slam the boat into the channel marker, therein bifurcating the boat, or not.
So the build is finally complete, and Carrie and Tori celebrate. The boat is moved into position, gently. No one wants the wheels to come off now.
All right, now for the moment of truth.
At the opposite end of the track, Grant has the truck all hooked up and ready to tow.
So these are chains connected to the tow truck. Got our shackle. This is a breakaway rope for safety. And then the cable. I think we're ready to take up slack.
And as twilight descends, they're wet, cold, but ready to put this tale to the test.
All right, take it slow and then take it up to 25 miles an hour on my count. Ready?
Ready.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
This is it. Remember, they're asking if a speedboat at 25 miles per hour plus channel marker equals this kind of boat-splitting destruction. We're about to find out.
5 miles per hour.
Can you guys go faster?
10 miles per hour.
But suddenly, disaster.
Did we lose the cable?
Cable broke.
As Tori said, that's not good. The breakaway rope that's designed to break on impact snapped under the strain of the tow. And with this last-minute failure in the fading light, Team Unity is the first casualty.
So for all the other things where we tow something big into something else and it crashes, we use a breakaway rope. And, you know, there's a standard one that we've been using, which is a blue marine rope. We know its breaking strength is 6,000. But on this particular one, Tori really didn't want to use that. He wanted to use this. So, but tomorrow, I think what we're going to do is go back to what we used to use that was working.
Dude, we've never used the blue rope.
We always use the blue rope.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we do.
Not for the breakaway.
Yes, we do. No, we don't.
Seeing as Grant and Tori are rejecting each other's reality and substituting their own, this argument is on a road to nowhere. Let's come back tomorrow. After the break, our crash scene investigators get the crash they've been waiting for. And Bird in a Truck sees Adam and Jamie ramp up the pigeon hunt. Bifurcated Boat has once again brought our wet and mild Mythbusters to breaking point.
We always use the blue rope.
haven't.
Yes, we do.
Not for the breakaway.
Yes, we do.
But all that actually breaks are their voices. And in the cold dark of the next day, they once again prepare the good ship Mythity Split for its 25-mile-an-hour collision.
Cool.
Positions, everyone. Jess takes her place in the tow truck, and the rest of the team stand by, level with the crash zone.
Okay, Jess, are you ready?
Ready when you are.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1, drive.
All right, we're at 5 miles per hour.
Okay, gosh.
Now we're at 10 miles per hour. 15 miles per hour.
Yeah! It's picking up. Come on.
Oh my God, I can't believe this is going to happen.
20 miles per hour.
Oh, it's perfect.
That's 25.
Here it goes, here it goes, here it goes, here it goes.
Wow!
It's beautiful. It hit right on target.
Great job, you guys.
Well, the rig worked. And big things hitting big things always equals happy Mythbusters.
Look how much damage it didn't do to the channel markers.
Yeah! Oh! But look at where the trailer is.
It totally turned.
It turned.
It worked.
25 miles per hour. You can see it for yourself. No bifurcation.
I guess the story might not have happened exactly as it was reported.
So we're going to say 25 miles an hour, it's busted.
Oh, the story's busted at 25, and so is our trailer.
Dude, it worked
Definitely.
perfectly, though. It turned right into the channel marker.
Busted.
So busted is the unanimous verdict, and a closer look at the boat reveals no evidence to the contrary.
Whoa!
God,
this is some serious damage, but no bifurcation.
Yeah, look at it.
Look at that, you guys.
It definitely indented, and it did do the turn.
It did do the turn exactly as we predicted.
I just don't think there was enough speed behind that momentum.
No, definitely.
If we were going faster, though, I could definitely see it splicing through this thing.
Considering how much damage is done here, yeah, maybe if we were going a lot faster.
Regular viewers will guess what's coming next, but for the uninitiated, the Mythbusters are never quite satisfied until...
I want to see some carnage.
So now the big question is, how are we going to try to do another run with this trailer? Because we want to try to see if we can get a bifurcation at 50 miles an hour. That's going to be the tricky part.
We don't got a lot of time here, and we need to fix the trailer. So we're going to try some quick and dirty methods to try to get this thing rolling. It doesn't have to roll well. It just has to go. So our first try is going to be to take that corner, chain it to the channel marker. And then we're going to take the other corner, and we're going to try to pull on it and maybe get the trailer to sort of reshape itself almost sort of square.
It rolls! We might be able to do this again.
Then we're going to try to cut off the first two wheels so that the axles that are kind of bending into each other are gone. And then we'll just start dragging it. If it rolls at all, we're going to stick the boat on it, we're going to throw it back there, and we're going to drag it into this bad boy.
Yeah!
Looks good!
Yeah! I think we can do another run.
You get one single bad run, and that's it.
That's right. One single bad.
The prospect of high-speed carnage does wonders for the morale. And even another icy shower during the reset can't dampen their spirits.
Consider your next vacation to the runway at Alameda. Beautiful views of San Francisco and the Bay Bridge. Plenty of space to stretch out and smash big things into other big things. Rain? We got plenty of it. So call your travel agent. The runway at Alameda. Okay, escape plan, same as last time. If the boat's coming at you, run.
All right, so we busted the 25-mile-an-hour myth.
Yep.
So let's do this one.
All right.
Count it down.
Jess, you ready?
I'm more than ready.
All right, on my countdown. Ready in 3, 2, 1.
The question is a fan site favorite. If the birds in a truck take flight, is the truck lighter than when the birds are at rest? To answer, Adam and Jamie have weight on their minds.
The more I think about this, the more I think that not only do we need a really sensitive scale, but we also... Well, if you think about the birds moving around in this truck, they're going to be shifting the weight of it. It's like, you or I dancing on a bathroom scale. It's not a consistent weight. So we want to be able to graph the weight of this thing as it changes. We want to be able to look at the final thing as like points on a graph over time.
Well, there are these things called load cells. They're an instrument that detects pressure, and maybe we could use those as a sensor that we put in each corner of the truck body and plug them into a computer. In fact, and now that I think about it, there was this company that approached me some time ago that has a computer that's made to take like 16 sensor inputs.
It could easily take the load cells as inputs, and they probably could graph it any which way we want.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Why don't you call those guys, and I'll get on finding us some load cells.
Okay.
Hey, Adam, how about this one?
This is going to be what weighs our truck. This is a load cell. We're going to put one under each corner, and as the trailer sits on this piece of metal will bend a little bit. That bend will be registered by a crystal on the side here, which will output a change in voltage through this wire that will be read by our computer and output as points on a graph over time. It measures up to 500 pounds down to a sensitivity of like 1/10 of an ounce. It is perfect for our needs.
And with this computer collating that info while providing a real-time graph of the changing weight of the trailer, Grant's inner geek gets out.
Sweet.
Now, all they need is a bunch of birds. And Jamie, undaunted by their recent failure, has a cunning plan.
I figure Jackson can be sort of a stool pigeon, I think they call it. And because
that's a good solution, I think.
If he gets a bunch of visitors, we'll have a bunch of pigeons. All right?
I love it. I think it's great.
Good luck, Jackson.
Surrounded by bird feed, Jackson settles in for the free buffet. But once again, the local pigeons are just too smart. So the undaunted Jamie has been daunted.
I'm giving up.
And the only bird brain in a net is Adam.
We're not defeated by the task of catching pigeons. Even though it's not critical to this myth, it's a point of pride. We're going to catch some pigeons with Mythbusters' invention. And I think it's going to be a web shooter.
It's the motto Mythbusters live by. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Jamie and I have discussed various plans, and I think we're going to build something similar to a potato cannon of plumbing parts made into an air chamber with an electrically operated valve and manifold that spreads 4 tennis balls with this net between them around our unsuspecting pigeons.
You ready?
All right. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow, that was cool.
That was cool. It works on Adam, but as we've seen, the pigeons round here are a lot smarter than the TV hosts. Shh, Jamie's hunting pigeons.
Now listen, I know that there are many tried and true methods for catching pigeons that are quite simple, and I know that you're going to email them to us. The fact is, we wanted to try a Mythbusters solution.
But despite hardware Rambo would be proud of, the local pigeons remain as free as birds. Which means en route to the full-scale test, Kate, the pigeon wrangler, gets another call. And once again comes up trumps.
How many is that?
I think we got 36.
That ought to do it.
With the birds taken care of, Adam and Jamie can concentrate on setting up. And the abandoned naval yard is just perfect.
This is the same location that we used for Killer Cable Snap, and we used it because it's got a big flat welding grid that is a nice level surface. For Killer Cable Snap, we used it to weld to and anchor all the stuff for the cables. For birds on a truck, it makes a perfect platform for the trailer to be on because we need it super level. The next thing that we're going to do is jack this trailer up and put it on blocks. On the top of each block, in each corner, each of the 4 corners, will be a thing called a load cell.
With all 4 load cells in position, Grant and Jess set up at the command center. They'll monitor the weight of the trailer throughout the experiment.
Okay, so we've calibrated all of our load cells, which are the sensors that are going to tell us if there are any changes in the weight of the truck. Those are going into a computer. The computer is going to record all that information along with video in real time, so we can see if, when the birds fly up, if there are any changes in the weight.
And with the pigeons in position and not flying, the team has starting weight.
Okay, so that's a difference of 11 pounds with the birds in place. I'll zero everything out to that, and that'll be our starting point, right?
Right. So if the weight drops while the birds are flying, the myth is confirmed. It's go time.
Stand by, and I'm recording now.
Okay, I'm spinning the motors.
Jess, in 3, 2, 1, go. They're all flying.
It's beautiful. Most of them are flying. That's great.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to call it, all right?
All right.
All right, we're done.
Okay.
And stopping.
Woo! That worked better than I thought it would. They all flew for like a good maybe 15 seconds.
That's great.
And the high-speed camera captures the moment.
All the work we did is to get this shot that you can see them all flying and be weighing it all at the same time. It's just stunning.
Yeah, it's all there, and this is synced with what's on the computer. This is great. Good job, you guys.
Nice work. Awesome.
But getting a truckload of birds to fly isn't the point. The question is, does the trailer get lighter?
So there's no difference when they were in the air.
No, but you can see minor fluctuations happening very quick. But
Well, what I see is the fluctuations have about the exact same amplitude both above and below the 0 point. I mean, it's a noisy signal, but here it's clear there's no difference.
yeah, that's great.
Dude, that is beautiful. Although the data is quite noisy, which of course it would be with so many variables of 20 birds, it proves that the birds on the truck do not change the weight of that truck in any significant way.
So the myth is busted, but Jamie and Adam still aren't quite satisfied.
I think we busted this myth with the pigeons flat out. The data looks beautiful, but it's a bit noisy. This helicopter is going to be a very clean and stable signal. We should be able to see it on the graph much more steady than we see the birds. And this is the nail in the coffin for this myth. If we see no change in the weight of the trailer with a helicopter in it, it's busted again and once and for all.
Stepping up for the tricky task of flying the remote-controlled chopper is M5 shop assistant Chris. And his boss, Jamie, is full of encouragement.
Chris is well motivated to not crash the helicopter. It's a fairly expensive helicopter, so it'll just come out of his pay if he does any harm to it. Either that or I'll fire him.
With thoughts of unemployment crowding his mind, how could he fail?
Chris, we're ready to go when you want. Get that thing just a foot off the ground. Okay? Come on, baby. Whoa! Did you get a reading? Hold on. We're going to have to take a look.
Can you feel it?
Unsurprisingly, that brief, disastrous flight doesn't yield any results.
Dude. All right. Why don't you go back to the shop and get your other helicopter? And we'll try and get a reading off of that one.
Another one?
Yeah.
Chris, despite Jamie's ominous silence, believes he's still employed and soon returns with his own model chopper.
Chris, hover that puppy as you will.
Hey, Chris, tense much?
Yeah! Okay, perfect. Shut it down. That was perfect.
There was no bother with that hover. But what about the results?
It's off the ground.
And the line's stable.
The line is totally stable.
And then when it gets back down.
Give me some, man. That is beautiful.
Perfect.
No wonder they're pleased with themselves. This is the myth that just wouldn't die.
This myth has been very persistent. It's been all over the fan side. It's been all over the web, and I'm glad we finally put it to rest. You can see what's going on here. It's very clear, especially with the helicopter. The helicopter is sitting there. Its weight is on the trailer. And at a certain point, the props speed up appropriately. The weight is shifted away from the feet of the helicopter, and instead it's replaced by air pushing down on the trailer. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. There's no free lunch here.
Busted. Totally busted.
Well, I thought we did a great job of it. I mean, the rig worked really well.
Do you think this is going to somehow curb the furious debate on the fan site?
Of course not.
Yeah, I bet it won't either, but man, this is the final word because nobody else has ever gotten 20 birds flying simultaneously in a truck while weighing it every 10th of a second in your face. It's busted.
It's busted.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori have drowned the myth that at 25 miles per hour you can have two boats for the price of one. But it wouldn't be Mythbusters if the team didn't ramp it up in an attempt to replicate the results.
So we've already busted the myth. Bifurcated boat, 25 miles per hour into a channel marker, it's busted. But that's not what this is about. This is about actually splitting the boat in two. So we set up a tow cable on each side of the channel marker. We're going for 50 miles an hour, and we're going to get this boat to split. Absolutely.
All right, on my countdown. Ready in 3, 2, 1.
The target speed is 50 miles an hour, and our tow trucker has his foot to the floor.
Well, it didn't bifurcate, but it was still pretty cool.
Once again, the mythity split didn't. As per the myth, contact was just to the port side, but despite the increased speed, the result was still only a glancing blow.
The way these are made is very, very strong. It's beautiful. It's not likely that something is going to split down the middle.
Yeah, you'd have to get a really good shot at a high velocity.
And whoever split that boat must have been going a lot faster than 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's
I'm guessing more like 80 or 90.
With the trailer gone, but the boat still intact, the team have to get creative to get satisfaction.
I need more carnage. We still have the crane, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the boat up about 100 feet and drop it on the ground. Then I'll be satisfied.
Go, 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 go!
Yeah! Yeah!
Whoops. I'm thinking that went down like a lead balloon with the crane driver.
We are in so much trouble.
Not yet. Yeah, we're kind of in trouble. A little trouble.
Yep, I wouldn't want to be the one to tell Jamie.
Whoa! Oh! Dang!
Okay.
Well, as Adam would say, there's your problem.
Did we get insurance on this truck? Anyone?
All right, I know we didn't get bifurcation, but crashing that boat into the channel marker, that was cool.
I mean, we have a picture, we have a police report, and we know this kind of damage is possible.
Even at 45 miles per hour, we couldn't get that kind of damage.
So unlike the boat, this one's busted?
Busted.
Busted.
Mythbusters books and DVDs are available at Dimmix and DVDs at JB Hi-Fi.